Hello everyone, friends. You got to the recap of the new manhwa. Be sure to put your thumbs up and subscribe. Enjoy your viewing. Dear subscribers, do you see this? A huge insect is there. Hey. Ahead. The student was sitting in the classroom and watching a video of an insect attacking a person. For ordinary life, it was so unrealistic that he wondered if it was fake. In fact, we find ourselves not at school, but in a university laboratory, where 3 other guys are sitting next to the person who is watching the video, violently discussing this topic. Idiot, there are probably a dime a dozen such videos on YouTube? Says one of them. Where does such a huge insect come from? Another asked a question. Hey, he's not the size of bugs anymore, but looks like a man, don't you think? The third one answers. The kid with the phone was dreaming that it would be cool to have such big wings, and the other one supported him. It's like some kind of insect hero. He laughed. Suddenly, someone's hand reached out to the guy's phone and grabbed it. Meet me. Jang Soo, I'm 20 years old, I'm a student. What's cool about insect wings? Aren't they disgusting? I decided to ask the guys, but without letting them say a word, I continued. In short, they're the girls offered to go for a drink. Would you like to join us? I offered 3. They didn't look so. Since I was a popular big shot, I was often invited to such events, and yesterday was one of those days. That's why the boys had no desire. The bespectacled man, with a frustrated face, said that the girls go to such events only for me. Just as I was about to hand over the phone and say goodbye to them, a girl jumps on my back screaming. Ah, Soo Chang. When did we say that we were against the guys? And after these words, the guys fell off the chain. They pulled me to my feet and bowed with words. We'll be happy to join you. As you can see, I'm pretty smart and attractive. I have more than 5,000 followers on Instagram. And my school grades are almost always A. Constant gatherings with alcohol and university parties. If this is all judged by the food chain, I am its ruler, sitting at the very top. You might have thought, what kind of infantile reasoning is this? But a person, like an animal, lives in a group. All creatures, such as lions or ants, have a similar joint lifestyle, they all have a kind of rank. I am the object of getting other people who follow me around. So I thought, doesn't that mean I'm the strongest? Right? I wouldn't want to give up such a university life for anything. After leaving school, a guy who was bigger than me and in a black t-shirt decided to ask. Is it okay if you go out drinking with other girls? His question seemed strange to me, so I decided to ask what he was talking about. Then he pointed behind us and said. Yes, about this. Look over there. Following his finger, I saw 2 girls. One of them shouted my name all over the street. Her name was Mihi. She looked like an ordinary girl, with a cute face and pink hair. Where are you going? Eat? She immediately began to bombard me with questions. The 3 guys we already know started thinking who about what. Hey. This is the official couple of our faculty. Thought the big guy. They haven't met yet. Thought the guy in the hat. That's lucky, damn it. 4 eyes thought. After that, 2 of them turned towards the girl and started talking to her. Mihi, will you come for a drink with us? Soo Chang is coming too. I don't know what Mihi managed to dream up, but saliva flowed from her mouth, after which she took off like an Olympian at 100 meters and screamed. Oh, my god. I'll go too. Me too, Soo Chang. Looking at her from behind, a drop of sweat ran down my cheek. I promo saw how she wants to cling to me with her hands. When suddenly a spark appeared in my head and turning to her at an incredible speed, I beat off her hands. After that, naturally, I was bombarded with questions. What are you doing? What's the matter with you, Soo Chang? But I was standing in a daze, there were unpleasant knocks in my back, and all I could do was just apologize and say. I'm not feeling well. Go without me. Immediately after that, I turned around and started moving away from them, but until I got too far away, I could hear their conversation. What? So suddenly? The big guy asked. What's wrong with him again? Sometimes he throws us so abruptly. Approved by the bespectacled man. Don't I think so? The guy in the hat wondered. So that my departure would not seem like a scam, I decided to answer their question. Excuse me. Apparently I overdid it yesterday at the faculty of wrestling. Plus I ran 5 laps. But this only made the situation worse, as the guys caught the inaccuracy in my words. We didn't have a wrestling department. In any case, without saying another word, I just started to leave under the even more questioning faces of the guys. I was walking down the street, realizing what a fool I was. What the hell is the faculty of wrestling? My repertoire of excuses has outlived its usefulness. I could only reproach myself as I continued on my way. I have a secret that no one knows about. Yes, my situation and that guy's are quite similar. I'm talking about the guy in the mask who was standing at the traffic light right now. He has also changed a lot since the beginning of the semester. They say he was a guy who got along well with people. However, why has he become a loner now? The reason for this is complexes. All this is because you showed people what you are ashamed of. I heard that one day he went too far with a drink and suddenly an allergy appeared on his face. Either from alcohol or from something else. At that moment, he saw the disgust on the faces of his classmates and ran away. After that incident, he lost confidence in himself and began to walk alone. Well, it's all obvious. Every person has something that he would like to hide from others. And telling someone about it is equivalent to showing your weak spot. You will probably ask why someone like me started talking about this topic. Standing at home in the bathroom, I began to undress. But because I also have one complex. Having untied the bandages on my body, insect wings spread out on my back. That's why I decided to ask my friends in the audience today what could be cool about insect wings. This can't be beautiful. These wings are disgusting. And the reason for everything is that these are dragonfly wings. When I was in high school, I sprayed the room from dragonflies flying into the apartment and suddenly they all turned into powder. I accidentally inhaled it. After that, I was tormented by nausea and I barely fell asleep. And the next day, wings appeared on my back. Naturally, that day I was in shock, so I covered myself with a blanket and hid under the table, asking myself questions. What if people think I'm a monster? Will they catch me and do experiments? Living in this fear, I couldn't sleep properly. I tried every way to hide my wings and to keep my distance from others. Because I didn't want anyone around to see my wings. That's how my life went, alone. No one found out about my secret and I was able to focus on going to university. However, speaking of one drawback. The constant loneliness was excruciating as hell. Therefore, with admission to the university, I decided to change. I started, of course, with wings. No matter how painful it was, I rewound my body with bandages every day to hide them. I was able to solve this problem much easier than I thought. After that, I gained confidence in myself. I was able to change dramatically. Confident and bright facial expression, attention to hair and clothes, courtesy to everyone. It was these parameters that made all the girls at the university pay attention to me. What do they say there? Self-confidence is the first condition for great beginnings? As a result, to my surprise, not only the girls, but everyone started reaching out to me. However, as soon as everyone sees these disgusting wings, my student life will come to an end. I really wanted to hang out with Mihi today, but why at this moment? These wings constantly serve as an obstacle for me. As if to remind me that they are a part of me, if I don't take off my clothes for a long time, my muscles begin to go numb. It's like sitting in one chair for a long time. So sometimes I have to leave abruptly. Because I wouldn't want anyone to see my wings. Especially Mihi. When suddenly I turn around to go out of the bathroom to my apartment and Mihi is standing on the threshold. There was no limit to my panic and the girl's panic. Since I was naked, she panicked because of that. My panic is caused by you know what. I immediately locked the door and began to think non-stop whether she noticed my wings or not. Mihi, how did you come into me? I asked. At you. Door. She was open. The girl answered with some embarrassment and continued. The guys offered to get together for a drink at your place and told me to go first, giving your address. At that moment, in addition to panic, a note of anger appeared on my face. Why no one warned me? The girl calmed down and began to speak in a normal tone. Soo Chang. Did you leave because you really felt bad? After all, this isn't the first time you've left everyone so abruptly. Sometimes you look like you're in pain. You're not hiding anything by any chance. What could I say to these words? As much as I would not like to tell the truth, I tried to calm down as much as possible and replied that no. After that, there was an awkward silence between us. We were both standing at the door, from different sides and thinking who was what. Mihi decided to break the silence first. Putting the bag of groceries on the floor, she shouted. Soo Chang. Come out. Then she sat down at the door and continued. You have to go to the cinema with me today. I'm going to sit here until you come out. No one could have expected such a turn. Opening the door a crack, I answered in a panic. What? No. I told you I was sick. But the girl was not an easy one, She was able to unravel my lie and did not even move. It is clear that you are not ill with anything and constantly think about something alone. It's like you're hiding something. However, you won't tell about it. Therefore, it is sad and a little insulting. She said, after which she indulged in memories. Do you remember how at the beginning of the semester you saved me from a student who was constantly following me? She asked. I then pretended to be her beau so that the guy would definitely fall behind. At that moment it looked selfish, ridiculous, and I thought, why are you meddling in someone else's business? Me, he said. Every word she said hit my ego. I definitely did not expect this, and until I finally passed out from such blows to my soul, the girl continued. However, I am very grateful to you. Therefore, if you don't hate me, then I also want to meddle in my own business. If something is bothering you, I would like to support you. These words were like music to my ears, they helped me get ready. But no matter how much I want to tell her my secret, I just can't do it. I quickly wrapped the bandages back and threw on my jacket. I opened the door and said, well, then let's go to the cinema. Yes. Maybe it was the right decision, because this trip to the cinema will change my whole life. While we were going to the cinema, some guy in a hood was following us. When suddenly his shadow began to cast the appearance of a human insect and he said, I can smell the feed. Continuing to go to the cinema, we went to the park because it was on the way when suddenly unknown people turned to me. Girl. We are not some strange people, just students. It won't be difficult for you to take part in the survey. And of course he, a kind soul, could not refuse no matter how I tried to persuade her. Moreover, there was not much time left before the film. They even gave her a candy for passing the survey. The sight of me with a candy in her hands seemed to open my eyes and I fell in love. She was really beautiful. A thought suddenly occurred to me. By the way, we finally came to the cinema and were already sitting in front of the screen. All of a sudden. Well, you never know. If we start dating, I'll have to tell her all about my wings someday, right? And if he sees me like this, will he treat me the same as before? No, she'll be scared. By the way, we were just at a horror movie. I can't admit to anyone that I'm a monster. Simply. Let things take their course for now. Suddenly, the screen with the movie went out, which caused discontent among people and a lot of questions. A few minutes before that, by the way, Mihi had just gone to the toilet as she spilled coke on her t-shirt. Back to me, there was no light in the hall at all, and everyone was shouting what happened to the electricity. They cut off another one at such a moment, the most interesting one can be said. Suddenly, the administrator bursts into the hall and shouts with all his might. Evacuation. We ask everyone to leave the cinema right now. There is a suspicious object inside the building with a dangerous weapon. But people reacted strangely to this warning, thinking that this was some kind of event. The administrator, with a panicked face, warned that this was not an event and tried to continue asking people to follow his instructions. Before he can finish, a huge claw pierces him from behind. The claw of the same person who followed us when he and I went to the cinema. Of course, it's not really a man, it's a mantis man, because he had this particular insect's claw. Only after that, people realized that this was not a joke and began to panic, running away where. I just got to my feet and wondered in my thoughts. What's going on now? Did he kill a man? It's dangerous here. We need to get out. But he is still. I thought, watching as almost all the people had already run out the back entrance. The killer of the cinema worker drew attention to me and with an evil smile, from which saliva flowed, said, "Found. My food." Then he jumped in my direction, and I immediately reacted and started running away in a panic. Realizing that I would not have time to escape, I turned around and lunged to the side so as not to get hit by the blow with which the man destroyed half of the seats of the cinema. I couldn't believe my eyes, looking at his hands. He stopped and stared at me again. I, in turn, as if shouted in a voice not my own. "What are you doing?" "What? I'm asking you. You're a monster." To which this mantis man replied. "Called me a monster? Looks like this is the first time you've seen another human insect, right? You also drank it, that insect repellent. The medicine is jungle juice." When suddenly the very scene came to my mind when I sprayed dragonflies with this remedy at home, and the man continued. "After I became like this, I began to smell something. Yes. Very appetizing aroma. If someone like me eats another bug. Do you know what the smell feels like?" He spoke after me as I ran down the corridor of the cinema. But he rushed at me and finished with a phrase. "A very great smell." Right at the last moment, when I was about to die, a chair that Mihi launched, standing in the corridor around the corner, flies into the mantis man's face. Mihi? I was surprised, lying on the floor. I came out of the toilet and suddenly an evacuation was announced. I couldn't find you, she said, standing in surprise. The mantis man was in shock. He looked at the girl and was surprised at her courage. Then he screamed at the top of his voice. How dare you? At my lunch hour? I tried to warn her by shouting for her to run away, but it was too late as the man had already rushed at her. Meanwhile, outside, the cinema was already occupied by the police. No entry allowed. Inside the building, an unknown person staged terror with weapons. These words made people wonder and try to get inside. Strange people, really. But there were also those who simply filmed everything that was happening on the phone. Suddenly, an unknown girl in a cap turned to the police. But there are still people there. If you're not going to go there, then I'll go. Meanwhile, a man was shouting behind her back. Hawk. There. And pointed his finger at the top. A man was falling from the top floor of the building. It was Mihi, who was thrown off by the mantis man because she interfered with his lunch. My thoughts went into a chaotic state. No. 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 Mihi will die like that. What to do? Use wings? But I've never flown before. Moreover, if my wings are seen by such a large number of people, my life. Sorry, Mihi. As expected, I can't. A huge number of people stood outside the building and filmed Mihi's fall on their phone. Suddenly, someone from the crowd shouted. What is it? Their surprise was that another person flew down. It was me. I still gathered my thoughts and flew after Mihi to save her. I caught her halfway through the building. Watching this scene, the mantis man began to speak his comments. Thick-headed. Even a human insect will die if it falls from such a height. And I kept thinking, what would a coward like you do? You're pathetic. It's just a double suicide. I wasn't listening to him anymore, I was just thinking that everyone would be looking at us. I don't know if I'm going to lose my life now, however. Mihi's words came to my mind, which she said sitting by my bathroom. If you don't hate me, I want to meddle in my own business too. Anyway, whatever it was, I think it was the right decision. After that, the wings, as if gaining strength, began to break through the bandages on my body, as well as the outer clothing, shining green. After that, our fall stopped and we started hanging in the air. The mantis man, looking at us, was in complete shock. And I'll remind you again. Every person has something that he would like to hide from others. And tell someone about it. It is equivalent to show its weak point. This is the story of the brutal survival of a student who suddenly became weak, having fallen into the stone jungle of natural selection. The girl we have already seen, the one in the cap, was surprised and began to pronounce. In the very center of the city wings. To die and not get up. Suddenly they started talking into her earpiece. What are we doing with it? Exterminate? But the girl took off her cap and answered. No. In my opinion, it is better to take him to our school. Naturally, she was an insect because after taking off her cap, her antennae fell off her head. I was floating in the air with Mihi in my arms, and at this time a crowd of people were standing below and filming us on the phone, asking questions. What happened? He saved that girl. But what is it? Are those wings? The mantis man could not believe his eyes at that time. He was surprised that I was hiding my wings. I noticed that Mihi was bleeding and started to ask if she was okay, but it turned out that she had fainted. Maybe it's a good thing, she won't see my disgusting wings, and it will save our relationship. Meanwhile, the mantis continues to wonder at my ability in his thoughts. Moreover, it hovers in one place. That guy is capable of such a thing. The bastard. He thought, but I didn't care. This is my first flight, but I'm already getting used to it. The mantis man was standing still, looking out of the window at us, but, suddenly, I flew away at great speed, and he shouted after us. Hey, stop. There is only one insect with such flight abilities. And this is a dragonfly. He made a logical conclusion. Flying at high speed and skirting high-rise buildings, I was trying to find the nearest hospital, so I was no longer interested in what happened next in the cinema. The mantis man began to lick his lips. He sighed. I feel withdrawal again. Dragonfly, dragonfly. He thought. When suddenly, from behind him, a girl who had previously been standing in a cap jumped out at him. The sound of a blow sounded. The mantis fell to the ground, and the girl towered over him and spoke. It turned out to get through. Do you even know what you've done, you idiot? You missed that video on YouTube. So you're still having a killing spree in the city center. It sounds like you really want to get caught. The world should not know about our existence," she said, wearing a cap to hide the insect's antennae. A month later. University audiences. A group of 4 guys were discussing everything. "One semester is already ending," said one of them. The other one noticed that his friend was watching some video on his phone, so he decided to ask what was there. The others also paid attention to the guy's phone and started asking him questions. "That incident at the cinema? Are you still interested in this?" One spoke. "What he has on his back is very similar to the wings of a dragonfly," said the other. "Wow. How can a person have such wings? Is this some kind of monster or something?" The third one asked. The guy with glasses who was closest to the phone decided to tell his guess. "This guy looks too much like Jang Soo Chav." I, on the other hand, stood at the entrance to the auditorium and listened to their discussions. On that day, news about the incident spread all over the internet. And of course, they reached the university in a moment. As a result of everything, I got off with a slight fright. I thought that then they would catch me and send me for experiments. There is no silver lining. Many people treated this as fiction. However, all that. Repeated again. 12 years ago. A crowd of children sat at the table and congratulated me on my birthday. All this happened in kindergarten. I stood aside and looked at it all. The teacher decided to ask the children. Guys? I should have called Soo Chav too. Birthday after all." But the children were ruthless in responding. "What for? We are not close to him." The teacher was outraged by this response. "But you're still friends. We need to get along with each other," they said. The children didn't care. But Soo Chav has never even brought a gift to anyone. SHH. Shut up. It's all because he doesn't have any money. And also he has neither mom nor dad. The children were talking. Back then, I also just wanted to make friends with the others. But when you are different from others, you cannot enjoy such happiness. Why am I always different from others? Suddenly, walking down the street, my insect instinct worked because some guy got up to me from behind. Instantly turning around, I tried to hit, but the guy reacted quickly and managed to dodge. After that, this guy, with a face full of regret, decided to apologize. "The guys told me to check if you have wings. What kind of reaction is this?" Without waiting for my answer, the guy went back to his friends and they began to discuss me violently. I noticed, damn, I almost opened it. I'm sure it's definitely him. So did he have wings or not? I don't know, damn it. They said. I tried to cover my face with a hood and thought. They look at me like I'm an animal in a zoo. And just a month ago we were friends. I often went to university with them. And now that closed Jang Soo Chav is no more. I was walking down the street and everyone was throwing strange looks at me. I'd rather be tested. I feel lonely. Also, I haven't logged into social networks for a long time. Can I come in? I asked myself, sitting on the bus. Taking out my phone and logging into Instagram, I noticed that many unsubscribed. There are rumors that the experimental laboratory is investigating the case of that monster in the video. I wouldn't want to get involved in any of this. Although what's the difference? I don't care how many people have turned their backs on me. I still have Mihi. I learned the news that today she finally came to her senses. Yes, it's all right. I was remembering that situation again, near the bathroom. I only need Mihi if she is next to me. Mihi was screaming convulsively. No. Stay away. I stood in front of her cot in a daze. Mihi, what's wrong with you? It's me. Yeah. Soo Chav. I screamed while the nurse dragged me away with the words that I couldn't come here. Mihi, who has been so kind to me. Who was worried about me. Mihi. Mihi. She was sitting on the bed and was all cowardly, asking me not to come near her anymore. And when I got out of bed, I heard her last word. The monster. That's what finally finished me off. I came home. It's all because of those wings. I was talking while standing in the bathroom, having unwound the bandages on my body again. Taking the scissors, my face became as serious as possible. It is only necessary. Just cut them off. Clutching a piece of cloth in his teeth. I told myself. Cut it. Cut it. Cut it. But at the last moment I threw the scissors on the floor and fell to his knees, breathing heavily. Tears flowed from my eyes and began to fall to the ground. I know it's going to hurt. Why am I so pathetic? A month later. I walked down the street and listened to the conversations of passers-by. Hey. You'll come back later, right? Here's a kid, drinking again? Yes, let's go. All the guys will be there. They were talking around. A person lives in a group. And, of course, there is someone who breaks out of this team. Many of them choose one end for themselves. Death. I finished my thoughts standing on the roof of a high-rise building. Yes. It will make me feel better. I can't suffer anymore. I told you already on the flight. My face didn't even change, I wasn't afraid of death. But suddenly, the wings tore the bandages again and came out from under the outer clothing. I can't even die normally. Again because of those wings. When suddenly, completely not expecting this, I heard someone's voice. Wow, I envy you. The girl in the cap and with pink black hair said, and then continued. I would also like such wings. She was standing right on top of the building. Vertically. Perpendicular to the ground. For the first time in a long time, surprise appeared on my face. What? This girl? How long has she been here? Although, more importantly, how does it hold on to the wall like that? I was asking questions, but the girl kept talking. Having such wings, do you want to die? Don't you think it's too stupid? You don't like them that much? Well, then. There is a way to become an ordinary person again. Share. At that moment, hope appeared on my face. Back as a human? Is there really such a way? Moreover, her mustache. She's the same as me. I was floating in the air without saying a word. Thinking all the time. Can we go inside first? She suggested. Being already inside the building, the girl broke the awkward silence again. Phew. I thought I was going to die of cold. She said. I slammed my palm against a wall behind the girl. Finally, after so much time with her, I began to speak out loud. Tell me, how can I become an ordinary person again? The girl took off her cap and said with a laugh that she didn't know, and I howled in frustration and shouted that she was a lousy person. Suddenly, the girl's next words interested me. I have a condition. Go for an interview at our university. Then the professor will explain everything to you himself. She said confidently. I was surprised by her suggestion and thought about it. Professor? A university professor? Go for an interview? Suddenly the girl began to explain the route. We are waiting for the ring bus on the ground floor. If you follow me, you can meet him. Before she got far away from me, I threw after her. Why should I believe you? A mantis nearly killed me last time. To which she replied. If you don't believe me, go jump back from the roof. However, your wings will interfere with you again. But if you trust me and follow me, you won't be alone anymore. I bit my lip, trying to make a decision. No matter how difficult it was for me, I made a decision. Good. I thought in my head and grabbed the handrail tightly. I can't trust her 100% yet, but I have nowhere else to go. Here we were already sitting in an empty bus. Just me and this girl. Suddenly she shows me a jar and asks me. Do you know this insect repellent? Naturally, I recognized this remedy and was surprised. Meanwhile, she continued. Jungle juice. A tool that mixed a gnaw of an insect and a human. At one time it was very popular because of its effect. However, the problem was that if you kill an insect, its gnaw will get into your body. Therefore, a part of your body, like that mantis, has become a part of the insect's body. After listening to the girl's explanation, I angrily interrupted her. Who the hell invented this remedy? I don't know myself. Not any firm. Not that kind of person. Nothing is known. It is only known that a large number of people were infected from him. She answered while we were on the bus. I grabbed my phone and started frantically searching for information. Nothing is known about this remedy. The search engine is empty. My neighbor on the bus also picked up the phone and said with a confident tone. Because we've covered all the tracks. I wanted to ask her more about it, but the bus stopped. We've arrived somewhere. The girl got off the bus and as soon as I noticed where she was going, I was surprised. Are we still in the tunnel? I asked her. Do you know where they build tunnels? The girl asked a rhetorical question with a laugh. After all, they are usually built in the mountains. I answered that while she was clicking on some button in the wall. Suddenly, I was blinded by some light and squinting I was surprised. We try to avoid people. Therefore, we live in constant hiding. The girl spoke while the passage was already fully opened in front of us, through which nothing was visible except bright light. The girl started walking forward with the words. And our campus is a small town to be here. In Nesta. As soon as my eyes got used to the light, I saw a full-fledged, huge city that fascinated with its architecture. And how such beauty is still hidden from people's eyes. By the way, Nest means nest in translation. A symbolic name for the city where people live insects. We passed on and I exclaimed with admiration. Is this a university? Inside the mountain. Suddenly my eyes widened as what I saw. This whole picture. It looks like a real jungle. After all, there was no one but insects in front of my eyes. Insect people. I can't believe there are so many like me. Is there really a way to become an ordinary person in this place? I thought hopefully. Meanwhile, in a tall building, in one of the windows there was a mantis already familiar to us. He looked out the window and noticed something. And he noticed me, saying, "The dragonfly." It would be better if he wasn't thinking about that. After all, he was being led by the police, and he himself was wearing shackles that restrained his frantic mantis hands. Hearing the criminal's words, the policeman exclaimed furiously, "Fucking monster. Who allowed you to stop?" The next moment, activating an electric baton, the policeman hit the mantis in the back with it. "Huh? Did you miss me at will? Come to your senses. The murderer. From now on, you're just a guinea pig." The mantis clenched his teeth in pain and could only grate. "Dragonfly." As soon as the electricity stopped flowing into his body, he continued. "Have we met again?" I walked around the city of Nast, turning my head like a madman. What kind of place is this? Really? Is everyone here? But before I could finish my question, my friend interrupted me. Yes. Everyone here, like you, has also suffered from the juice of the jungle. Although this place is called a university, in fact, this is only an opportunity to protect such people. I told you. You won't be alone. I'll be back as soon as I report to the department. You're the only new student this semester. Take a walk for now. Welcome to Nest. The girl finished by leaving in an unknown direction. I listened to my friend and started wandering around. To think that such a fantastic university would be located in Korea. There are people of all ages here. I can't believe they all have insect parts, just like me. And most importantly, they don't even hide them. Suddenly, my attention was attracted by a man who was sitting in the lotus position on a raised platform. He had a big beard and a strong body. A huge number of beetles flew in his direction. I give them honey, and in return, they provide me with protein. Such is the circle of life. This man said in a bass tone. Then he threw one of the bugs into his mouth. I looked at it with disgust and asked, "Did you eat it? Are you a bug eater or something?" Without waiting for an answer, I went on, and the man continued to sit still and crunch the beetle. There are no normal people here. Suddenly, the same man was behind me and pulled me by the cloak, lifting it. I stopped and heard his words. "What kind of bug are you? Oh, do you have wings like a dragonfly?" Screaming at the top of my voice, I flew away from him. The man just stood up and continued in a calm tone. Flexible enough to hide them under clothes and not break. Yes, and in great shape, good wings. So why are you trying so hard to hide them? I listened to him and was in complete shock, trying to pull on my raincoat again. I had only one scene in my head, like me he, in fear, trying to kick me out of his hospital room. Finally pulling on my raincoat, I turned around and started walking away from the man, saying that I came here to get rid of them. Pathetic fool. Finally, a man threw it to me. "Nice to meet you. I'm a professor, Madhu Hyan," said a pleasant-looking man. "It's good that you brought him here, student Ka Hee Jin. You must be Soo Chan. I've heard about you from reports." The professor continued, looking at us. Being in the NAST research building, I had hope again. This person. Professor. A way to become human again. He knows him. Picking up the remote control, the professor started talking again. "Then you should get right to the point, Mr. Soo Chan. I will tell you how to become an ordinary person again. To begin with, look at it saw." He turned on the big screen. "This is a video from the graduation of our university. And this is the graduation speech of the class representative. Next are the best graduates. They begin. For the Cinderella ceremony." So far, I didn't quite understand what the professor meant. Cinderella? What's it? Wow. The whole head is like a bug? Disgusting? But what is it? Alcohol? Suddenly, the beetle drinks a glass of an unknown liquid. Then he begins to writhe in pain. It is impossible to observe this without shock. A human hand appears from the beetle's body. She transformed. What this girl just drank? What was that? I shouted. The professor calmly began his speech. "This is something that the research department of our university accidentally created while researching jungle juice. We used the basic principle of jungle juice. And the insect DNA was separated. In the words of the layman, this is a medicine that can return people to a normal human state. We called him Cinderella. I froze at the professor's words, not believing my ears. Medicine. Capable. To return people to a human state? Yes. This is it. That's exactly what I need. So please give me the medicine. I shouted hopefully. But the professor hid the medicine behind his back and said he couldn't give it. Explaining this one like this. Cinderella is not a medicine that is easy to prepare. It is made from jungle juice concentrate, so the amount that can be cooked is limited. Unfortunately, it is impossible to return everyone to normal life. But if you want it so badly, enroll in this university and graduate with the best result in the department. We give Cinderella only to the best students. Like in that video we just showed you. What will you decide? The professor has finally finished his speech, but what about me? I stood in shock. To get the medicine, do I have to go to this university? This university, what is it? I thought. After leaving the building, accompanied by Jean, she asked me. Well, what are you going to do? To which I replied. The medicine is given only to the best student. In fact, I have no other choice but to act. The girl turned to me and said with a happy face. The choice is always yours. If you don't want to enroll, then just stay and live, it's not bad here. Although you won't see Cinderella then. Besides, even if you enroll, it is far from a fact that you will become the best student. I took the eyeglass case out of my pocket and interrupted Jean. Thank God it's not a question of money. And if it's just about learning, then anything is possible. I'll transfer to you right now. I said, putting on my glasses. A few hours later, the entrance to the lecture hall. A huge number of students discuss the upcoming academic year and who is going to go to which professor. I was transferred here in the blink of an eye. This place turned out to be more like a university than I thought. Jean helped me a lot before entering, giving me a book in which 3 basic courses are recorded. I only had to choose one of the 3. Opening the book, I was surprised by the names of the courses because they were really strange. It is even difficult to immediately understand what is being studied at this university. Principles of Nesta Protection. The only name that looked like a good course. But there was a catch. More than half of the class, this course, are excellent students. And no group work. The professor of this course is the same man who introduced me to the medicine Cinderella. Since everything seemed to suit me, I decided to go to Professor Ma's course. However, come to think of it, we all need to get together and pass the entrance exams. Usually we just use a computer cafe. Are there really such good computers at this university? When suddenly, interrupting my thoughts, a girl flashed in front of me and clung to the guy's neck. Is there going to be a fight now? The girl started screaming. You bastard. I told you not to have your spirit in the university. While beating this guy up. I couldn't believe my eyes, they decided to just pick up and start a fight. The crowd around began to support this with shouts. Suddenly, Jean walked past me, saying, Don't be afraid. You'll have to see this a lot. The events that followed shocked me. They just grabbed 2 rivals and, like fluff, threw them in different directions with incredible force. Are you starting a new semester with a fight? It looks like the energy is rushing out of you guys. She told them and barely raising his head, the guy said. A representative? She was a representative of the Department of Insect Advantages. Park Hee-jin. This news plunged me into an even greater shock, and I wondered if everything would be fine with my student life. The time remaining before the entrance exams is 10 minutes. I came on time. It seems that my chance for a normal student life is already broken. Well, it's more important to pass the entrance exams now. Meanwhile, Professor Ma stood at the window and looked at the city. He turned around as a guest had come to him. It turned out to be the same man with a beard whom I met on the street. Professor of the Department of Insect Advantages. Professor Ji John. He stated. I heard we have a new student? Oh, you're talking about student Su Chang. I heard that you have already met him. What do you think about him? Do you think he will finish the entrance exam normally? But Jai, with a smile, declared. No chance. Suddenly, sitting at the desk, everyone heard an unknown voice who was talking. Entrance exam. Begins. In an instant, all the people who were in the classroom started running where. I jumped up from the spot and shouted. What? Where did everyone run to? What about the entrance exam? No. Don't tell me. I realized something. Meanwhile, Jai began his speech in front of Professor Ma. Yes. This is the entrance exam to our university. Think carefully and win before the others. The only winners. There will be the strongest. I looked out the window and saw all the applicants rushing in one direction at full speed. What? Where did everyone go? I stood in complete shock because I thought that the exam would be written. But as soon as the entrance exam started, everyone, like Olympic athletes, started running, flying and jumping in the same direction. What's going on anyway? Is everyone suddenly crazy or what? While I was being stupid, someone's voice came from behind me. You just transferred, right? I turned around to see who was talking, and he continued. It looks like you didn't have time to listen to the explanations for the exam. If you don't mind, let me explain it to you. How the entrance exam goes. A funny kid was talking, with a potty hairstyle from which a small mustache was sticking out. Also, his lower leg was extremely shaggy, and his hands did not resemble human ones. It was difficult to immediately say with which animal he was crossed. After a brief explanation, I reacted by shouting. What? Should we find a professor? When we were already walking down the street, he continued his explanation. Yes, in Nesta, unlike other universities, we have to find a professor who is hiding somewhere in the forest, only after that you will be enrolled in the class. The professor will give the first 16 students a flash drive, and only when this flash drive is inserted into the computer in the classroom, you will be accepted. I started panicking, trying to figure out what to do. Damn. Then we don't have time to chat. I shouted. The guy was surprised by my reaction, but decided to ask. Have you already decided which course you would like to enroll in? I answered without hesitation. Sure. I'll choose Professor Ma's class. I've heard that he gives the best grades at UNIT. And my goal is to become the best student in the department. The guy smiled sweetly and answered. I see. This will be difficult to achieve. But I'm impressed. Then I will also slowly start looking for a professor. Well, good luck on the exam. We started to disperse and I thanked him for the information, saying that this guy was good. Means. Should I find the professor? It's been a long time. Am I too late already? I would like to know at least in which direction everyone else went. Maybe from some hill to look around. Where else would there be a hill to find? I was thinking while walking around. Suddenly I felt a stirring in my back. My raincoat instantly flew off me. And the next moment I was soaring high in the sky, towering over the forest. Awesome, now everything is visible. I can even see where the others are going. Suddenly I noticed several flags towering over the forest in the distance. I wonder if they mark the places where we need to go. If so, then professors should be at these flags. My attention was attracted by some sounds and paying attention to them, I saw a lot of battles. Why are they all fighting with each other? The fights were accompanied by angry shouts towards each other. It feels like they want to kill their rivals. But to go so far for the sake of lectures. Isn't that overkill? I think I should get out of here. I'm sure the flags are the destination points. The only question is which flag Professor Ma has. Is it worth relying on luck? Suddenly it dawned on me. Wait a minute. I'm going there. I exclaimed and flew towards one of the flags. Point A man was sitting at the flag at this point. It was the same Professor Ma that I'm looking for. Literally a few seconds later, the professor didn't even have time to realize how I landed near him, quite unsuccessfully, by the way. The professor recognized me. Hard landing. It's impossible to fly at this speed with your eyes open. But my guess was correct. I grinned. After all, this direction was exactly where everyone else was going. The truth is that there is a great demand for a good professor. Therefore, the point to which the bulk of people are moving. And it will be necessary, so I thought. And my delay at the beginning of the exam helped to reveal the full advantage of the Dragonfly's flight speed. Suddenly, the professor picked up a case with a large number of recesses for flash drives. There is only one flash drive left in it. Handing it to me, the professor said. Here you go, student Su Chang. This is a flash drive required to enroll in my class. You barely made it. This is the last flash drive. All you have to do now is go back to the audience and insert it. Now go and be careful. I happily held the flash drive in my hands, not paying attention to his last sentence. I passed the exam even too well. I took my first step to becoming an ordinary person. Moving away from the professor, a huge number of other applicants ran to meet me. The professor raised his hand and shouted. The principles of Nesta's protection, the drives are over. The professor picked up his phone and started talking. Let's see. Now that I've given away all the flash drives. It's time to start. After these words, he clicked on the share button on his phone. Suddenly, some kind of notification came to my phone. Text message? Who writes there? I looked at the screen, I saw the inscription. Principles of Nesta Protection, USB Goals. And below there were photos, among which was mine. What does it mean? Goals? At this time, the big guy with the beard was also looking at the phone. Ho ho, that new student, he got a flash drive. But by this point, he should have already understood. Not only him, but everyone in this forest began to receive SMS. After all, the entrance exam is not over yet. Suddenly, a drop of sweat ran down my face. I heard movement to my left, so I quickly turned my head. The next moment, I don't know how, but I already dodged the strongest blow that was flying at me. But having missed, the unknown hit the tree, breaking it in half. It was a guy who also wanted to enter this faculty. The barbel beetle. Strong enough to destroy a tree. What? I thought, startled. Why are you doing this? Why are you starting a fight? Trying to find the answer to this question in my head, I raced away from this guy. Suddenly, another guy appeared in front of me. A flagellated spider. He hunts using his knuckles growing from his back. He was screaming. Give me the flash drive. So far, I'm asking in a good way. At that moment I understood everything. You guys are trying to kill me because of some flash drive. Is that what they meant by a goal? I dodged a lot of other applicants. I was being chased by hundreds, no, thousands, no, millions of applicants. So it seemed to me. Is this entrance exam so lame? On the way, I heard someone's voice saying. Hey, here. Turning around, I saw a guy who told me the information about the exam. He asked me to go to him as soon as possible. He was as scared as I was. I decided to trust him. In the next moment, all the applicants were already wondering where I had gone, trying to find me. Thank you. You helped me again. Thanks to you, the flash drive was not taken away. Thank God I met such a kind guy like you. I was catching my breath, being safe. How wrong I was, because in the next moment, his rhetoric has already changed. A kind guy? What are you saying? Unheard of nonsense. He said and put his finger to my forehead. His fingernail shot me right in the head. Suddenly my body went numb. I couldn't move a finger. The guy, at this time, calmly took my hand and took out a USB flash drive. It's honeybee venom. He said. This is a bee capable of secreting a small amount of poison. You won't be able to move for a while. Wow. I can't believe I finally got Professor Ma's flash drive. It was really profitable to pretend to be a good-natured person. You thought I was really going to help you. With an insidious smile, this bee said while I could only look at him. He came closer to me and continued maniacally. The fool. Everyone is a rival here. What kind of idiot would help his opponent? Forcing students to fight so that only the strongest remain in the end. Didn't you know that this is the essence of the entrance exam? Well, I'll make sure that this flash drive serves me well. Try a little harder next year. Although someone like you will never become a better student. Laughing madly, the guy shouted, flying out of the place where we were. My thoughts began to spin in my head. The best in the department. No. I won't be the best if he steals my flash drive. I raised my hand and grabbed his claw sticking out of my head. And then I won't be able to get Cinderella. I started to get up. And I won't be able to become an ordinary person. With a face full of anger, I took off at full speed. The guy was surprised by this turn. But no matter how much I wanted to, he was still moving away from me. The effect of the poison has a bad effect on me, and I have become slower. Watching his silhouette, which was moving further and further away. I told myself. Damn. I have to catch up with him. Catch up. And at that moment, my eyes shone green. I was surprised. His movements. I can see where he'll end up. The dragonfly, called the queen of the hunt, has a 95% success rate. The secret of this lies in her eyes. Having a faceted structure, dragonfly eyes consist of thousands of individual eyes. This 1,000 eyes are able to detect the slightest movements in a 360-degree radius. Thanks to their amazing eyes, dragonflies read the movements of the prey and predict its trajectory during the hunt. At the moment when I thought I wanted to catch up with him, this young man became the victim. 1,000 dragonfly eyes. They will never lose sight of the victim. The flash drive has successfully entered the computer. The same Jean, a representative of the department, was successfully enrolled in the class. The red-haired guy turned in her direction and asked. Hey, representative. Is the guy you brought going to be okay? You know how many people want to get into Professor Ma's course, right? Besides, if you don't meet the deadline, you automatically fail the entrance test. The girl said nothing, but her thoughts were spinning in her head. The new guy. If you really strive to become the best student in the department, You will have to protect the flash drive at the cost of your life. After my blow, the bee guy let the flash drive out of his hands. How did she fly so far? I have to catch her. At full speed, I rushed towards the flash drive. Suddenly, someone's hand jumped out in front of me and grabbed a flash drive. It was a girl, and judging by her legs, she was a human grasshopper. After which, she galloped off at an incredible speed towards the university, laughing loudly. I wanted so much to fly after her because this is my only chance to become a normal person when suddenly, behind my back, something flew by. Turning around, I saw the bee guy I knocked out earlier. His unconscious body was falling to the ground. He could have crashed. So I'll miss my flash drive. Not that. Yes. Wasn't he the first one to attack me? It's not my fault. You brought this on yourself. Still, no matter how much I wanted to, the next second I was already flying after the flash drive with this guy in my arms. I can't pretend I can't see anything. After all, I am a human being. Dropping this guy into the nearest tree, I flew after the girl who stole my flash drive. I'm finished. I missed a thief. What should I do? At least we need to get another flash drive. I thought, but my consciousness seemed to be leaving me. The next moment I fell down into a tree and rolled to the ground. My body doesn't listen to me. Does the poison work? I probably won't die. To come to this because of the entrance exams. No. Thoughts are confused. I need to concentrate. Almost losing consciousness, I heard encouraging words. A pitiful sight. Get up. In front of me was a man with a beard, whom I had seen in the park. What? How long have I been out? I thought, looking at the man. Why are you lying down? It's time for you to go. He said as he left me and finished with a phrase. The entrance exam is over. In that second, my world collapsed. But the man saved the situation and continued. Well, or rather, there are still 5 minutes left, but there shouldn't have been a single flash drive left. Sadly, you will have to postpone your goal until next year, although there is no guarantee that Cinderella will not end by that time. When suddenly I was blown up and shouted. Wait! I was attacked surreptitiously and the flash drive was taken away. And I lost consciousness because of the poison. Wasn't that cheating? The man stopped. Pathetic bastard. Is there nothing in your head but sawdust? So what? Are you saying we should make an exception for you and let you retake? At this university, the most important thing is to be strong. If you have a goal, fight for it until victory. Besides, the professors are watching everything. We stop everything that may threaten the lives of students. Jungle juice turns people into weapons. Venom, horns, claws. Insects are full of dangers. Did you really think that in an institute full of dangerous people, we just read books in class? If that's what you want, then you need to go to the Nesta Civil Protection Center. If you stay there, you can live a quiet, peaceful life, the life of a bug man. Oh, yeah. If you're hanging around anyway, throw it away on the way. Take care of the planet. And don't forget to sort the trash. A guy dumped a ton of information on me and just disappeared, leaving me alone. Is it really over? In the end, of course. I didn't go anywhere. If I had left that guy to die. Would you be able to pass? I sit here and think about such things. I'm really trash. Damn it. And don't forget to sort the garbage. I'm already upset because I didn't enroll and he still gives me such tasks. What's there to sort? Suddenly my eyes widened. Opening the package, I saw hope. And I remembered the words of that man. Well, or rather, there are still 5 minutes left. That's just not a single flash drive should have remained. Turning towards the university, I realized that I had only 5 minutes left. At this time, Professor Ma met with Professor Jai. To think that you gave away the flash drive like this. I would still be able to believe it if it was a student from the last year. Doesn't student Su Chang annoy you? Ma asked and continued. Or do you have a reason for that? Ji thought about it. Then he opened his mouth. Well, how to say it? I want to have a whipping boy. I was flying at full speed, covering my eyes with my hand. I don't have much time left. And at this rate, I'm only losing it. It hurts my eyes, but if I close them, I won't be able to land properly. That's why I can't fly faster. Suddenly I started to slow down in flight and exclaimed. Exactly. Here's the way out. I took out the case with my glasses. Thus, dust and wind will be less visible to the eyes. Speed. I can increase it. Several people were sitting right next to the university. One of them was talking to the others. I don't understand why everyone is rushing around the forest if you can squeeze out a flash drive right in front of the university and quickly enroll. It was a group of so-called rats who were waiting for their courier with a flash drive. At one point they got excited when they saw me in the sky. The whole crowd, they tuned in to squeeze the flash drive from me. But while they were getting up and muttering something, they could only hear the sound of me breaking through the sound barrier, in simple words, the slap that sounded after I flew past them. They decided to run after me and try to take the flash drive right in the audience, even though it was against the rules. Suddenly, because of such conversations, they were attacked. These were the so-called fighters for justice, who were not going to allow violations of the rules. Usually no one does this, but Jin, after she passed the exam, received a message from Professor Jai to help the newcomer, that is, me. Meanwhile, I flew into the audience at full speed. Immediately seeing the computer, I rushed to it. Pushing the flash drive. I frantically started looking for the right button. By tapping it, I saw a message that enrollment in the class is completed. I entered the course practical fight against bugs. Phew. I relaxed, leaning back in my chair. I was lucky, I made it to the end of the exam. This is not Professor Ma's class, but now is not the time to be picky. If I try harder than everyone else, I will still be able to claim the title of the best student. Suddenly, a notification sound came from the computer. Paying attention. I wondered. What is it?